Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have another live stream coming to you live right now. And the topic is actually how have you lost attraction in your partner? So we've talked before a couple days back on how you might have kept attraction for a partner. That was something that a regular viewer, Mr. James Kavanaugh, had mentioned. And I think it's different. It's a totally different respect to look at things in this way. And I would encourage people to take a look at the questions when they first start watching this video and the right here where I've placed these questions and answer them for yourself and really get to the bottom of how you feel about this topic. So, how have you lost attraction in your partner? Question number one. And if you're broken up right now and it didn't go well for you and you're missing your ex, was there a point in the relationship, whether that was 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, where you lost attraction for your partner? Maybe it was a moment, maybe it was something they did off and on, not regularly. But come to grips with that. Think about that for a minute. It's a really good question to ask yourself. What was your partner's most unattractive trait or turnoff? I've had a couple of people over the last year and a half, not many, when I ask them a question, what are you not going to miss? They say nothing. There's usually always something, and there's always something that was unattractive. Um, what's up, Ozzy? There's always something that was unattractive about your ex that was a turnoff. So sometimes we key in on we weren't attracted enough for them, or why it didn't work out, or attraction was dropped. But really think about that, because going into your next relationship, you should be self-aware about what you don't like and what's going to turn you off. So, what personality traits did you hate? Stubborn, tended to gossip. I hear stubborn a lot. I hear narcissistic a lot. Tended to gossip would be one that comes up, I think. So I mean, hate's a strong word, but things that, like, if you were with someone a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're like, oh fuck, she's doing that again. Um, and you just kind of accepted it because other things were pretty good, but when that part of them or that piece of them came out, you were kind of like, fuck, right? What's the top three things you find unattractive in a woman or man? So thanks. Cheers for the like. Um, I find this, I'm thinking in this question, Playboy, the magazine, which had great articles. I remember they'd have their centerfolds and they would ask them what were turnoffs. And number one would always be bad breath. So that would be one, right? I think universally human beings would say bad breath's a big one. Um, and some people just have bad breath, right? Some people aren't very hygienic. It could be different reasons, cigarettes and all those kinds of things. Um, so anything you find unattractive, I think this is therapeutic if you're going through it with your breakup right now, just to look at it and go, wow, they weren't perfect. There are some things I didn't like about them. It's not like to hammer them on what they didn't do, but there's two sides to the coin. There's duality in everything. There's north and south. There's hot and cold. And in this situation, if you were thinking, how did they lose attraction for me? Go back and rewind and go, wait a minute, there was a few unattractive moments for them too. And overall, that kind of used to bug me, and it could have came to a point for me too. Are you attracted to the same types over and over again? Is there something you always filter for or especially appreciate? So that's kind of a different question to this, but it's something to chew on. What happened once you realized your partner did something unattractive? Did you start noticing it more and more? I know this in my own life. After the honeymoon phase ends and you start to key in on something you don't like, you start to notice it and you start to predict it happening every time. And that's when it becomes contempt and it becomes more and more a problem. Um, and the bottom line is, what can you deal with and not deal with? What can't you accept your partner doing, which directly kills attraction? So we got a lot of different questions there. So if you guys, thanks James, thanks Ozzy, a couple regulars here. If you want to answer any of those questions, you certainly don't have to answer them all. And these kind of questions are for anyone viewing this after the live stream also. And I would encourage people that are having trouble to go through those questions and answer them for themselves, because I think it'll help. Mayo on deck. So let's see what complaining about her day all the time and then not being interested when I had a problem. Oh shit. See how that flips the scene where you're like, wait a minute. I'm sitting here thinking How did she lose attraction for me? And probably when you wrote that and you're thinking back, you're like, yeah, that was pretty shitty. And are all women like that? Hell no. Hell no. Um, there's plenty that want to hear. I've heard guys like, oh, she always wants to talk about my problems, and I don't want to talk about them. My ex was incentivized and ungrateful. So I understand ungrateful, but what do you mean by incentivized? Okay, so that's what I'm incentivized by. I mean, X spoiled them too much. White knight syndrome. Very rational male right there. Um, well, that in the case, you could take responsibility for never saying no. Um, I know some friends, and I've heard the term "happy wife, happy life," and it makes me cringe sometimes because there is some truth to that, but there is a point when you're doing something and you don't really want to do it, and you continue to do it, and then it becomes an expectation by your partner, and then you end up creating a monster, um, i.e., spoiled. And then when you start saying no, they start throwing fits. I have never been in that situation myself. Um, I've never been accused of over spoiling in any way. Maybe it's my personality or whatever. Um, but I haven't had that situation because if I don't want to buy something or I'm not interested and I've never been quote unquote rich, I think it's easier when you have money. I think it's easier when I say you have money. I think when you have excessive amounts of money and you're rich, I think you're more likely to create a brat or someone that's spoiled because you have more access to that and it becomes an expectation. And I've never been rich. I've certainly been comfortable in my life, and I'm not, pushing a can around. But to just buy expensive accessories or bags or items, it's never been on my list. So I think women can filter that out about me right away. Um, I lost attraction all the time for many different reasons, but since I'm not an idiot, I realize those feelings are fleeting and you can go back and forth. Exactly. I use the word fleeting a lot because, like I said, attraction's fleeting. And there's moments where you're so unattracted, and then there's moments where you're like, you can, a day later or 3 hours later, something can happen. You're like, wow, that was really attractive. So, what happens though is when you start to key in on the things you really don't like, and then you start seeing them more and more, and you're ignoring the good things. Um, Thanks, Videtta. It's coming, man. Everyone tells me that. I really appreciate it. It's partly me. I'll take responsibility because I don't do social media. I'm planning on doing that. I haven't written any articles. I just do these videos. And like I've told everyone before, my focus this whole year and a half was for you to send a story in and for me to respond to you. So I was serving the individual first and foremost, doing that for free. Um, and it's gone really well. So I'm happy with where I'm at right now. I'm happy with doing these live streams, and the views are coming. So the views are coming. But every time someone makes a comment like that, I do appreciate it. Thanks, bud. Yeah, Spin to 21. I met Rollo Tomasi, great book. I don't know what that is. 21 Convention. Rollo Tomasi, great book writer on the subject, and still stuck on. I don't know what you mean by stuck on, but I've read Rollo Tomasi's book, The Rational Male, and I back it up and I recommend it to a lot of people. And I think it's great that he has this sort of obnoxious, non-politically correct viewpoints that aren't really being touched on. That's what draws me to the book, is that it's different, um, and he's got the background, and he's got the research and background to back it up. And I've read Preventive Medicine. Is it Preventive Medicine? Also, or listen to the audiobook. But been to 21 Con, I don't know what that is. So if you want to elaborate, that'd be cool. And I know he's got the manosphere and he's got a following himself. And I think that's cool. That's cool. People like that, I've had people ask me before, well, do you follow this about him or do you follow that? I take what I like from the book, and I've read it. I've actually listened to it twice now. Um, but I think this is a really good topic because we always think of how to get someone attracted to us or keep someone attracted, but we're not thinking about what's unattractive to us, what gets old, what we didn't like. Because as I wrote here, I didn't enter it. How much of what you are attracted to is related to a prior good or bad experience with an ex? This is really interesting because you come across this a lot where you're like, oh, my ex is just like my other ex, or something happened again. This, who was it? Daniel, that comes on the live stream quite a bit, was just mentioning yesterday how he attracts women that have an absent father quite a bit. And I asked him, are you a leader? Do you lead a lot? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, sometimes you're attracting the same kind of situation and you don't even know you're doing it. And it's because you're attracted to certain individuals or certain individuals are attracted to you. So that's also a good question to ask. Um, and as we get more viewers on this, maybe I'll answer the questions myself if I was answering them, which I usually like to share with you guys. So we got 6 on deck. I'll wait till there's about 10 people, and I'll go through these to myself. But let's start with how have you lost attraction in your partner in the past, right? So really have to dig into things that you don't like, right? Things that are particular to you. And I think that these kinds of things, okay, the 21 convention. I thought you meant convention. I'm not familiar with the 21 convention in Orlando. The Red Pill Summit and all the authors of the books you recommend. Okay, I've seen some things online. That guy George Bruno is really cool. I don't know if he's a part of that group. I've seen his YouTube channel a couple times. He's a cool dude, man. Um, all right. So I'll have to check that out. I don't think I'm going to Orlando anytime soon, but I didn't know that they had these summits. My ex fiance and I separated 1.5 months ago. She still hasn't changed, removed our relationship status on Facebook. Do you think she wants to get back together? Well, in Seiyan, I don't have enough information about your story and what happened to give you a tailored response. Um, if you guys were fiance, that's a little bit deeper than boyfriend girlfriend. So you were going to get married. A lot of times when someone breaks a proposal, I think that's a pretty big deal breaker because some people are a little bit humiliated. Some people have a little bit of shame. I've had friends that have had that happen, and in my experience, in my time, if I'm just giving you a vague general answer, it usually doesn't come back anytime soon because for someone to walk away after they've agreed to marry you, if they've got to be very serious about the breakup. Does that mean I'm right? I don't know your full story, but it's a little bit more serious for someone to walk away from someone that has already accepted a ring. I have a comment. I made a video about an ex, and Mac made a video about it. I made a video about an ex, and Mac, since a few weeks, I really think, fuck that girl, I'm over. I work full time. My business on the side is going good. Are you saying that I made a video about a story you sent in, Vidette? I realize I don't need that feminist girl. Women aren't supposed to lead. I can see her crawling, but don't give a F anymore. Well, that's strong language, dude. Um, and you're saying feminist girl. So you're saying that that might have been one of the problems, that she was a little bit too maybe politically correct or feminine, feminist. Um, I don't remember your exact story, Vidette, because you probably used a different name. So it's not that my memory's damn good, but not that good. I need to know your name usually. Whenever we have the live coaching session or something like that, I remember everything. But and did the story help you, Vidette? I mean, the response that I gave you, um, did anything really stick out that helped you in that? Because sometimes it just takes time, man. Sometimes, a lot of times, people send me their story, they tell me what they're doing, and they just want a reassurance that they're on the right track, doing the right thing. Because when you're in a breakup and things are kind of in a holding pattern, you don't really know if it's going right or wrong because nothing serious has happened. So sometimes people, like, there was a guy on a couple days ago. All right, and he asked some other people from the group. Yes, man, you made a vid about it. Okay, cool. Well, you obviously liked it, or you wouldn't be on the live stream, right? So sweet, sweet. And that's when you asked about me not having as many views. Like I said, your personalized story that I'm putting up there, not everyone's going to resonate with it. So I haven't done these general topics like a lot of other people do, like the 7 stages of what do they call that? Grief, which I can go find online and I can unpack that. But instead, I was like, you know what? Every time I make a video, I'm gonna help an individual, and if some other people can get something from it, but at the very least, I help one person. No, she thought she had the pants brainwashed. Well, I mean, for her to think that, there had to be some actions on your end that you probably were part of that, right? You have to take responsibility for that too. And you obviously weren't happy with it, and you got back on deck for yourself, dude. I was just typing. I just took some time to get over it. Mm. It takes time, man. It takes time, my friend. You know what's crazy is I do private story responses, right? So some of those you guys don't see. And yeah, Amsterdam. Some of those you don't see on the private responses because VDED, I don't think you were a private response, you were public. I mean, maybe you want to share which one it was or the topic. Sometimes the titles are changed because I have someone that does the titles for me sometimes and changes them for keywords and all that stuff. But what a great place to live, Amsterdam. Good for you, man. Got a bike? Wim Hof. Wim Hof went nuts on YouTube, didn't he? Where was I at? So what I'm saying that on these private responses, some people watch the video 10 or 15 times. They get back to me. They're like, yeah, I watched it 12 times or 10 times because it's information just for you about your story, about how you're feeling. I want to change relationship status, but she still has a lot of my things. We live together and I don't want them destroyed. Well, that sounds like you're living out of fear, and I would lead with good intentions and honesty. So if you want to, I want to change the relationship. She still has a lot of my things. We live together. So right now, in the next day or two, approach her with a message. If you're in no contact, there's no problem with you just going, hey, I still have some things at the house. Could you leave them outside your door or with your doorman? Or is there a time I can pick them up if you don't want to be in her presence? And that's completely civil and a respectable thing to ask. No games being played. You want your stuff. Don't be a dick. Don't be a jerk. Just be direct. And then after you get your stuff, take the relationship status down. What's the difference between a 2 or 3 days? If she's being a jerk about giving your stuff back, then you need to reassess your strategy. But until you get your stuff back, then wait to do that. But don't wait on getting your stuff back. Confront her. Just go, hey, I need to get my stuff back. Can you leave it outside? Can we meet somewhere so I can come and get it? But it's probably better if there's this much tension, Isayon, that you probably have her leave it somewhere where you guys don't have to be in person. Hello from England. Love your content. Had to create an account. Okay. Cheers. Cheers. I actually say that now. And a lot of my UK friends always say, cheers. No feminists think they are equal to men. Nature tells us we both have our roles. I've never heard it put that way, but yes. I mean, and that's a lot of what Attraction 101 is. And if you ever read Corey Wayne's 3% of Man, a lot of his book is about feminine versus the masculine. The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida or Dida. The whole book is about feminine versus the masculine. So that definitely is related to attraction. It was, does no contact work a second time? Yeah, I got a bike, man. I always see everyone ride bikes over there. What do you mean no contact work a second time? As in to get someone back a second time? Like she came back one time and you want her to come back again? Well, if something happened once, it's more likely to happen a second time because patterns do repeat themselves. It just depends on the circumstances, right? Exactly what happened. I mean, the way a breakup ends and the way you handle it is going to dictate the probability of you guys probably getting back together. The most unattractive thing was the fact that they could just walk away thinking they can do better. It's insulting and unattractive. Well, there you go. That's your fucking clarity, Jamesy. That's your clarity right there. You can come back to that again and again. And here's the thing, James. If this X comes back to you, is the stink on that comment that you just make gonna be erased? No. You're always gonna come back to that. It's always gonna piss you off. Even if she came back to you, please, James, please, you're still gonna be thinking, You did that to me? Still gonna bother you because you got some bitterness there, and I understand why. Basically, if someone tells me they don't want me, it pretty much kills my attraction for them. Some Not everyone's like that, James. Some people it ignites them, right? It ignites them because some people want what they can't have, and some people want what they can't have more and more and more because it's their personality. How do you decide if you should take someone back? After watching a lot of videos, I can see that no contact is working, but I can't tell if I should take her back. Well, that's a decision for you to make, not for me to suggest. Based on how good your relationship was, um, you don't want to take someone back because you just literally miss them and feel lonely. You want to really assess the relationship and see if it was healthy, it was good for you, why you broke up, is that fixable, was that reasonable? Um, why are you taking that person back? What's your intention? To have a long term relationship or just not feel lonely for a week? Vet them real good. Put up some boundaries and see where it goes without any pressure. But the vetting part is crucial. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. I mean, and what would be your criteria on vetting a male? Maybe you want to share that because um, get a little more specific on what you would do because I think Mayo, you said that your ex did come back. Cause you used the Brad Browning technique or something, and she came back and it didn't work out. You were walking on eggshells, if I remember correctly, if that was you. So what would you do to vet them? Thanks for the likes, folks. This is a nice little quick session. We only got 7 on deck, but nice little conversation. It's funny how these streams run sometimes with different groups. Start running background checks on these. I never use that term "tot." My nephew told me about that. My nephew's 18. He called "tot." I never knew that as a term. I bet somewhere out there they'll probably come up with some kind of thing where you could background check them eventually because the internet has everything. I mean, I've known people that got into someone's social media, and it's been, I mean, multiple guys that were like, "Oh yeah, I'm checking her messages. She doesn't know I have her password. There's different kinds of message thing." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's good to put time limit on when they come back. Is it good to put it? I'm pretty sure she will come back, but I don't know how long she will wait. No, a time limit's not good because there is no time limit for this. And if you do have a time limit and it doesn't work out, it's going to bring you back to ground zero. So you're just creating that out of what? Time limits are for podcasts like this, or time limits are for very specific things, not for people coming back in a relationship. I think you'll be highly disappointed by that. I think you're setting yourself up for disaster by doing that, and not just moving forward for yourself. If she comes back, it's a bonus. The idea that you're putting a time limit on it means you expect her to come back, and if she doesn't, you're going to be let down even worse. You're not healing; you're just waiting to be healed. His most unattractive trait: he withheld and wasn't open. Stonewalled during arguments. Would get super defensive when I was sharing my feelings. Well, then you weren't a good match, Monica. I mean, those are kinds of things that probably this individual probably wasn't going to change. I used no contact for 7 weeks, but didn't have the conversation about why she's back. Where is it going? Not really necessary in the very beginnings, but don't walk on eggshells for 6 months like I did. That's what you told me. That's what I remember you saying. And that's the thing is, I think that just because you got back together doesn't mean the problem's fixed. A lot of times, both sides are just lonely. And the number one way that people are able to move on, a lot of you don't want to hear this, is because someone meets someone else or they had someone waiting in the wings. Doesn't mean they were having an affair. Just means they had someone at work, they had someone in college, they had someone that they were interested in, and they kind of started seeing them. And then you're like, wow, they just jetted like that. A lot of times that's the case. All the time, no, but a lot of times. And then when that doesn't work out in 2 or 3 months or 4 months, and you want to call it a rebound or whatever you want to call it, that's when they might call you and go, "Oh shit, I just really had this. I thought this person was this. After 2 or 3 months, I miss you." If someone just goes cold turkey, but if you both don't have someone in the wings, a lot of times within the month, 2 months, someone's going to get lonely and call you. He came back, but we were both in different planes. He wanted to start from zero. I wanted to take things slow. What's the difference between starting from zero and taking things slow? I'm not saying that was wrong or right, but I mean, can't you start from 0 and take things slow? I don't know. If he was still gonna continue to be I mean, those are personality traits to okay, nothing figures okay. Um, thanks, Clara. Just trimmed it yesterday. Whenever I'm on vacation visiting the family, I just go, "You know what? Screw it. I'm not gonna shave." Um, what was I gonna say here? Losing my track of thought. So we can go back through. We've got some of the regulars back on deck here. Good to see you guys. Clara and Monica knows the topic, but Clara, yeah, if you want to chime in on this, you're always good for your opinion. Have you lost your attraction? How have you lost attraction to your partner? What was your partner's most unattractive trait or turn off? What personality traits did you hate? Or do you just hate in a partner anyways, like turn offs, you know? I have a stash since yesterday. You mean a mustache? What's today's topic? If you just scroll up to the top there, I have all the questions. How have you lost attraction in your partner? But I have a group of questions there that we can talk about. What's the top 3 things you find attractive in a woman or a man? For me, it'd be a woman. Are you attracted to the same types over and over again? So these are maybe we're not going to touch on all these, or maybe you don't all want to answer these things, but I think they're good questions for yourself to go through, or if someone's watching this live stream later on. So questions are good. This is how you unlock things because a lot of times you're stuck on one viewpoint or one frame of what happened and you're not asking yourself good questions. And you'll see it even when I do in the live stream. Sometimes I'll ask someone a couple questions and they'll go, oh shit. And they'll answer the question that they asked me for themselves by reframing it. I know you hate him, Clara. Okay, but I was his rebound. So that's what you are unattracted about? I mean, what was unattractive though? Was there something, things that you're unattracted to? Like I said, stubborn, someone tended to gossip, uh, Ozzy mentioned incentive size, that she was spoiled. She needed to get something to do something. Um, I feel like after a breakup, you see the truth about your partner. Well, I think that when I say the smoke clears, you can kind of take an aerial view of what happened. If you're looking at things objectively, you can see how you both played a role. If you're being really honest, I think in the beginning, you're seeing all the things that went wrong. You're seeing like, oh shit, 3 months ago when this was said, or 5 months ago when this was done, it was all like, what do they call that? Breadcrumbs, like a little trail to what was going to happen, and you didn't see it coming. You didn't know it was going to happen this way. But then when you take a step back, you're like, oh shit, I should have known. But then like 2, 3 years later, you're like, actually, what about my like? You're more upfront about your role and what you played in it. At least for me, 9, 10. Once you see the person for who they really are, you will be turned off, just like they got turned off from you. Well, yeah, for the most part. I mean, what you said when they're if you think you're a pretty good catch and you think you did things right and you have your head stand up tall, I think that what happens at the end too in the breakup, that last conversation, if there's 1 or 2 negative things said within that last week of the breakup, you hold that. You know, if someone says you were lazy, I've said this before, someone says, "Oh, you're lazy," or you got bad hair. Just like a small comment, you'll just carry it. And then you can either wear that where you're like, yeah, it's true, or you could say, fuck that. That's not true. I'm not that person. So I recently met up with an ex-boyfriend from years ago, and it was funny how similar he was with my ex-husband. I told him they would get along great. Proves we tend to repeat pattern. I think we do, generally speaking, and it's due to comfort. We like things that are familiar. We like to predict outcomes, especially as we get older. So we're constantly the brain's a predicting machine. It takes experiences, and that's why when you get older, everyone thinks they know everything in some senses. And that's why when you're in your 30s and a teenager's talking, you're like, oh yeah, you think you know everything, don't you? You try to give them advice because you have experience, right? And when you're in a new relationship, you're like, oh shit, this is gonna happen again. And it's comfortable to be right when you predict something. When you're with someone that's like totally different, totally unpredictable, someone you never came across, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that would be a turn on." A lot of times it's not because people are not drawn to uncertainty. Like someone that's constantly drawn to the woman, the guy that's a project that he can really get his shit together if he did this, this, and this, and I'm always supporting him. That's a role that someone likes to take. Um, Someone that's attracted to the woman that's always spoiled and gets what she wants, he starts to believe that all women are like that, and that's how relationships work. I mean, I've seen that many times where someone, and generally it's a woman that's very into her looks, pretty good looking, and they know that in the past that they've gotten what they wanted, so now that's their playbook. Doesn't even necessarily mean that they're bad people. It just means what they're essentially trained to learn that works for them. Prefer someone who likes the things I like, prefer older. Well, yeah, everyone usually likes people that like what they like. Um, Dishonesty's big. I think that would be a big turnoff for anyone. I think that's a deal breaker in relationships, right? I wouldn't say I want her to come back. I'm expecting it. Don't expect it, dude. For you to expect it, that means your ego is in a sense yearning for it, if that makes sense. Okay. If you're saying, well, I'm expecting it, she is showing a lot of signs of coming back, posting a lot more on social media and breadcrumbing during no contact. I didn't take the bait. Well, it's not about you taking the bait. It's about what you want. What do you want? What do you want for yourself? Stop playing the game, take a step back and go, do I want to play this game? Do I want to be in this relationship again? Why did we break up? Do I just want to move on? What would be the ideal outcome of this individual coming back to me? Don't be anyone else's rebound. You feel used. Claire, you deserve so much, girl. Move forward. I re-rolled the whole thing in my head in bed yesterday, and I came to realize that it ended just like it was supposed to. Predicted outcome, and I felt at peace with it. You know what I did? LOL. In your bed? No, man, I don't know. I went there. um, how many times did you replay that whole story, though? I mean, that's what we all did when we break up too. And the fact that you feel at peace and you're in a moment like that and you got an LOL attached to it, good for fucking you. That's a good moment. That's a defining moment. Girls with daddy issues and horrible back of the neck tattoos are my bread and butter, I guess. Or the type of women you end up with. Back of the neck tattoos, that's fucking random, isn't it? You must have had a woman that you were really attracted to that had a back of the neck tattoo, and then you've always put that in place as something you liked. Um, Daddy issues. I mean, that's a statement that's used a lot, and it's kind of joking, and it's true, but it's pretty broad, right? Because that can mean a lot of different things. And let's face it, there's a lot of people that have issues with their parents, whether it's their dad or their mom. Because I've had a client recently that had a lot of issues with their mom. I'm sorry, not his mom, but his partner. Her issues with her mom, and what transpired is her treating his mom really bad, and his mom was by all means a pretty good mother. I mean, I could go on and on about that. It was just amazing um, how she basically took out a bad relationship she had with her mom on his mom. I mean, she was um, not allowing his mom to see the kids, different thing. It was just crazy. Relationships with parents count. So listen up when you're dating and going out. And what I would say is what's big, I've said this before, is that, and I never noticed it before. I mean, this is new to me too. I learn as I go also, folks. Um, I'm no all knowing genius of every relationship in the world, but I will say this, that people tell you who they are early on. They say that people tell you who are by what they do, but they also tell you who they are by how they talk about other people that are close to them, how they talk about their parents, how they talk about their best friends, how loyal they are to those people is how loyal they'll eventually be to you. Yes, how can we change that habit of dating the same kind of personality? I'm like a program for it or something. Well, first of all, first step, Ozzy, realize you're doing it. Second step, look at where you're meeting those individuals because you're probably meeting them in the same kind of venues, whether that's dating apps, whether that's a nightclub. You probably go to the same places, um, and you're filtering for that in some way. And when those kinds of partners come up, you know how to deal with them. You know the playbook on them. So that's why I'm saying it's comfortable for you. When someone is totally different, you're like, oh, this girl's full of herself, or this is that, because you've never seen that before. That's what part of it is. But the short answer would probably be change your demographics. I've said this before. Demographics meaning where you go to meet the type of people you want to meet. So it really counts where you live, right? It's like Alejandro, who comes on the live stream quite a bit, was just mentioning he met someone with a PhD. I don't know if he was dating her, but he had a conversation. He lives in Boston. 1 out of 3 are students there. He said there's going to be more PhDs there. There's going to be more highly educated people there. Coach Glenn Byrne, what's up, buddy? How you doing? You're Mr. Glenn Byrne, the Irishman. Mac, do you think it's a good idea to date against your usual type when the normal person you are attracted to never seems to stick? Good question. Do you think it's a good idea to date against your usual type? Well, I wouldn't restrict yourself if you're attracted to someone and you feel like you might have a connection. Why not go on a date and see what happens? I wouldn't. I wouldn't create a wall before you even know what's wrong. So if someone's not your usual type, why not open up and go out with them a few times, see what happens, and see if you get surprised. Um, Seeking someone that's not your usual type, like trying really hard, I don't know if I'd suggest that. But if you come across and you're like, this is a little bit different than I usually like, someone's, thinking about it. Oh, someone might go, it's not usually what I'm interested in. Why not? When the normal situation you're attracted never seems to stick. Well, there's something there that if we do a live coaching, Monica, like I could really unpack some of your past partners and what's going wrong and what, obviously this past one you've mentioned more than once didn't open up enough. Um, so that must be a problem that comes up a lot, that you like to share your feelings, that you might be more sensitive type and you're very sensitive to when someone's not sensitive or understanding of your needs. So then I would go into what kind of jobs do these guys have? You know what I'm saying? It's great. I think to mix things up about and be random. All right, coach, Mr. Glenn Byrne. Thanks for your take, buddy. Mayo, I went there a lot while spinning plates because your subconscious mind knows it's going to work out and you're not going to get hurt. Spinning plates, I think, is important. I don't know, Ozzy. Maybe like identity, the common traits that all your exes had, and now maybe that as a set of deal breakers into your next relationship. Like if you see it, run. Sometimes you don't realize it till later on, like 4 or 5 months later, you're going, "Whoa, shit! Wow, she wasn't who I thought she was." Can you expand, Mayo? I really enjoyed the tatted up six kittens in my early 30s because they are safe buffers, like Rollo explained. They hid your comment here. Sorry, James. That makes sense, Mayo. But my politically incorrect ass, because you said retarded ass, actually ends up committing to those types of women, telling myself I can unbrainwash them. Well, you know what? That's where you're wrong. Especially people in their 30s, right? They're not going to change them. People in their early 20s do go through more changes. They go through more career changes. They go through more identity changes. I think people in their 30s can change, but they need a crisis of some sort. But you're not going to change them in a new relationship. And sometimes, like early on, when you look back at the relationship, you're like, oh shit, early on, she did show, I didn't really like those tattoos or I didn't like that t shirt. And then, like a year or 2 years later, she started wearing more stuff like that. Because a lot of time people are on their best behavior when you first get with them and they tend to hide things. How do you have a wiki board or something? How do you know this stuff? I don't know. Some people, especially in live coachings, when I'm talking to someone, will be like, how'd you know that? I don't know. My dad's always been someone that reads situations and people well, and so do I, but I'm no psychic, but I listen. I listen, especially in this line of work, right? But I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Off to a meeting, gotta go. Good luck, Mayo. Have a good one, buddy. I heard before that people can hide who they are for the first 90 days of a relationship. I think it's an accurate statement in my view. I'm sure they can do it for 100 days, but yeah, I would say that that would be the honeymoon phase. And yeah, I would say that people can definitely hide who they are for that long. And or they can also be blinded by the fact, if you're going to go on the reverse side, Glenn, thanks for your take. You can also be blinded by the fact that uh, you're so attracted to an individual. This might apply to Ozzy or James, that you're so attracted to an individual that you can actually change them or change the circumstances that you don't like. That's when the real test begins. I don't know. But this varies. The honeymoon blinded, very true. The honeymoon changes with everyone, right? The honeymoon phase or whatever. I mean, there's some people that are like, oh, because to me, that's the stage where it's rose petals and wine glasses, and it's so great. And when I say that, I'm not into rose petals and wine glasses, but you know what the fuck I mean. And everything's right. There's nothing wrong. You don't fight that often. You're excited to see each other. You're still, at your best whenever you see each other. You don't argue. You stay away from problems, and then I think about 6 months is the start for a lot of people. There's certainly a lot of people that go a year and a half, 2 years. It depends on the circumstances, because all that outside shit in your life, if you have money problems, if you have health problems, if you got family problems, that all compounds onto your situation, your relationship, and that changes who you are and how you act. And that stress bleeds over into your relationship, and that's when shit gets real. You have to be an attentive listener. You have to let the honeymoon phase pass. As Steve Harvey says, after 90 days is best. Oh, because so this is what Steve Harvey said, the 90-day thing. Um, I'm not against that number, 90 days, but I certainly think it could be longer than 90 days, depending on circumstances, but that's a good place to start. James, there's always signs, red flags. Coach Glenn, I disagree, man. Some people are really adept at hiding their true self. Some people don't learn the truth about their partner for years. I think about a wife finding out about her husband is gay. I've actually had a client that had that happen. Um, and talking to her, she was surprisingly calm about it, almost like she knew. Well, I knew he was bi before we were together, but like it wasn't a big deal. But when it happened, it was pretty shitty, right? Um, but yeah, that's why I wouldn't want to put a number, but 90 days isn't a bad number. Like if you rolled with that, Coach Glenn, cool. If you rolled with that, Clara, cool. Me personally, would I say like, oh yeah, 90 days, after 90 days, I'll know exactly who they are? I would say I would need more time myself to know exactly who they are. But I feel like myself personally, I read people pretty well, but we all get surprised. Some people don't read people well, right? I'd say that's a skill. I know what you mean, Glenn. I know what you mean. That's a good starting point. It's a good starting point, 90 days. It's just when sometimes when you say that, everyone goes, "Oh, okay, exactly 90 days. Now I'll be fine." I'm like, well, look at what they do and not what they say. Yeah, that's true, Glenn. That's true. I agree, Clara. But you don't always see the extent of what's going on. You might see the tip of the iceberg when there's a much more serious situation going on. Well, stuff doesn't surface without a trigger, right? That's like psychology 101. So if there's no trigger ever involved, so something down the road, like 2, 3, 4 years, it's like, where the fuck did this come from? Sometimes when people have kids, that triggers something totally different in your partner as a parent, responsibility wise. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? We had a really good relationship. And that doesn't mean that she's a bad mom or anything like that. But I've heard of this happening a lot where they just change as an individual because the trigger had never come up before, right? That's just like when someone uh, had issues of getting abused when they were young in some ways, and they pushed it away, and then something happened later on in their life, and they're like, oh shit, it just triggered everything to come back. It's the same thing in a relationship, and that's when you're with someone, you're like, oh my god, where'd this come from? Who's this individual who were so good for 6, 7, 8 years? And I've literally had this in live coachings where someone was like, for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, it was great. We had a great relationship, we had a few problems here, and then this happened, and it was like whew, cave in. um Yes, I had a friend in high school whose dad came out as gay to his wife. They had been married 20 years, and he was a shrink. Wow, and he was a shrink? Well, I mean, I don't know what that's like for an individual. It certainly probably is easier now for individuals in certain societies to come out. Um, but that's really tough on the wife and the kid. Jesus, you know. But it happens. It's not that bizarre when you think about it. And there was a client I did a private um, code story response, and she was really cool. We had some interaction through email, and she was a lesbian, but she was talking about this was interesting. She was talking about how the woman she was with was having an affair with her in a long she was in a long the other lady was in a long distance relationship. She was having an affair with her because she had trouble with her husband. Her and her husband were having problems. Her husband wanted to divorce her. Then she wanted to go back to her husband. So she left the affair, which was in the same city, right? And she's like, why can't she just come out and admit that she's a lesbian and be honest when the husband left all this other thing? And then in the next sentence, she's telling me how she's never told her family that she's gay or lesbian. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you tell your family? And she's like, well, I want to withhold that for cultural issues and different things. So sometimes people don't apply the rules to because she said she's a very secure person, very independent, very on top of herself. And she's like, no, I don't want to go there with my family. But for this individual that she was having an affair with, she felt like she should be upfront with her husband. You know, I call it a double standard, but different circumstances, right? I don't think you really know someone until they leave you. Laugh my ass off. I think you can. I think what happens is you unpack things and you dissect things way more once they've left about their character and what happened, because when you're together you're in present moment way more often, so you don't keep going back to the old things over and over again. If I had to do it again, we had a passionate relationship, but I would have waited to be physical. I think it's important to get to know someone at basic friendship level and build connection. Well, that's your prerogative and that's your belief, and everyone's different when it comes to that stuff. I wouldn't Gonna go, Mac, but I will be in touch soon, man. Good live stream. Take it handy. Take care, bud. Thanks for joining, Glenn. We'll be in contact. I hope your channel's doing well, bud. Thanks for supporting mine. I appreciate it. Cheers, lad. Um, so we still only have 8 people, but we have a lively little session here. It's a Monday, right? Memorial Day in America. So some people should be off enjoying themselves. Maybe that's part of it, right? Out for the barbecues and whatnot. Excuse me. When you talk like this, you have to catch your breath sometimes. Digesting the coffee here. All right. So we're at a point now where I'm gonna unpack these myself. I'm gonna unpack these myself, these questions, okay? We're at 48 minutes, so why not? How have you lost attraction in your partner? So I would say for me in the past, it would be, and I'm thinking past relationships, how have I lost attraction in the past? It would probably be um, someone changing jobs and changing how they act and who they're with. One big one in a past relationship was getting a new job, but prior to that, if I'm going to be honest, was highly judgmental of other people, and we all are to a certain extent and different things, but like thought she was better than other people, and that used to bug me. People that were like honest working class make comments about them, almost like demeaning in a playful, funny way, and I didn't think it was funny. Um, I think one thing that turned for me is people that are highly materialistic, that are into very expensive brands. I like nice clothes and stuff like that, but stuff that's just out of hand expensive, that's kind of a turn off. I won't mention brands because some people might be loyal to them, but I'm just talking about the stuff that's highly expensive and would be materialistic. That would be for me personally. That's a turn off. Um, What else? Um, what was your partner's most unattractive trait or turn off? That would probably be one of them. Materialistic in the past, or um, being rude. But that didn't happen often. That didn't happen often. I'm trying to think because I'd say my earliest relationship, one of the biggest turnoffs, I thought my ex was a little flirty. She was very, very outgoing and flirtatious. So that used to bug the fuck out of me because everywhere you'd go, it's, oh, that's my friend. Hey, hey. And it's just like, and I'd be looking at the guy. It's like, nah, this guy hooked up with you. I can tell. You know, when you meet someone, you're at the mall and you're with your girlfriend, and she's like, oh, hey, what's up? And the guy's just like, I've talked about this in other videos before. The guy, like, instead of going, hey, my name's Mac, nice to meet you, he just kind of looks at you and gives her a big hug and kind of looks at you like, hey, what's up? It's like, wait a minute, something happened here. And she'd be dishonest about that. But that was my earliest relationship. What personality traits did you hate? Well, I think everyone hates when someone's stubborn. I've certainly dealt with that. Um, I guess later on in the breakup relationship I had where someone was just drinking too much. So I don't know if that's a personality trait, but and going out too much where fun, craziness, and uh, partying started to come above the relationship. And that was a big change in our relationship. What's the top 3 things you find unattractive in a woman? Well, for me, for a woman, top 3 things I find unattractive. Let me think here. And you guys should think about these too. I would say off the top of my head, because I just said it, materialism, um, using the word like too much is highly unattractive. And then like, oh my God, like, and then like they said something and I like couldn't believe it. And like then I went out and then like when I hear those conversations, I just want to go like this. Um, Not being polite or kind, if that makes sense, being rude or snobby. Snobby is really one that's a turn off to me. Anyone that's snobby or snide, rude to people that help you. Like if someone's rude to someone at a restaurant that's a waiter or waitress, that pisses me off. I don't like that. So those are some things. I'll share some other ones. Let's see if anyone else had some more since then. Um, Shout out to the troops real quick. Absolutely, bud. I wasn't in the armed forces, but my dad was Marine, so I definitely got some family there. Dad was in Vietnam. How do you rebuild trust after they leave and come back? How do you rebuild trust after they leave and come back? Slowly, probably. Well, if someone's leaving and they're coming back, you're restarting a new relationship, and you really have to understand why you wouldn't trust them in the first place. So, you are you the one that doesn't trust them, or are they not trusting you? So trust number one thing takes time, and people base it on past experiences. So whatever you weren't trusted for in the past, or vice versa, needs to be forgiven. It won't be forgotten, but it needs to be forgiven and not brought up over and over again. And someone needs to believe that they can trust you again. And in doing so, you need to show behavior that builds a new case. Because if someone doesn't trust you, you did something to make that happen. You can only say sorry once. It doesn't count more when you say sorry 15 times. So if someone doesn't believe that you're genuinely sorry and you can make a change, then you're never going to be trusted. Would you say it's more important to work on aspects of yourself you don't like to be a better partner? I would want to know specifically what aspects you don't like rather than thinking about what you don't like about other partners. That's a good question. Kind of tricky. Kind of tricky. I got to unpack that a little bit. Would you say it's more important to work on aspects of yourself you don't like to be a better partner? I don't know if I would do it to be a better partner, to be a better human, to be a better you. Because if you're trying to do it to get a better partner and that person doesn't appreciate it, you might be let down. So the fact that there's some aspects about you, I'm not saying this about you, Monica, but let's just say that you tend to gossip a lot. And if that's who you are and what you do, and you're changing that because you hope to get a partner, I don't know if that's the best way to go about it, but if you change it because you're like, you know what, I just want to stop doing that because it's not a good habit, rather than thinking about what you don't like about the other partner. What you do want to think about, are you being fair that you're not projecting something about a partner that's really true about yourself? That's a good way to reframe that question, because sometimes you are projecting some insecurities about yourself. Like if someone, it's highly suspect when someone starts accusing someone of cheating or doing some things and they've never done them before, because that could be projected that they're the type to be thinking that that's what they would do. Projection 101 is, I'm accusing you of what I would do or what I'm thinking of doing. So if someone's accusing you of something and you're like, why the fuck do you keep accusing me of this? For them to have that idea in their head means that they've thought about doing it themselves. And it's so interesting because I've talked to people before that someone's cheated on them, someone's had someone lined up when they break up, and then they go, "Yeah, to be honest though, I cheated, but I never said anything and they never knew." I go, "Were you jealous and stuff?" "Yeah, I was. I just did it one time though." Monica the dumpy spends all their time thinking about what they did wrong. We deserve to take time to think about all the things they did wrong. All the times I wanted to leave but didn't. It was strong. Good point, James. Venu Kandi. I'm good, bro. Thank you. Venu Kandi. I asked you before, what nationality is that name? Venu Kandi. Um, True, James. We don't have a choice but to reflect. Some people don't, though, and make some mistake with a different person. It's like you date same person, different face. Amen to that. Guilty as charged. But have there ever been a time where you dated an opposite? You had a breakup, you didn't like some of the things about that relationship, and you went into a new relationship with an opposite character person to offset the fact of all those things you didn't like before? That happens. Nepal. Okay, cool, man. Nepalese. Cool, man. Right on, Venu. I know you came in the live stream before. I was just curious about that name. It's like unfamiliar nationality of that. Well, welcome, Venu. You have any questions or you want to comment on the topic today? Something that you're unattracted about your breakup or your partner? Some of these things I've touched on. So, are you attracted to the same types over and over again? We've talked about this. Is there something you always filter for, especially appreciate? Um, so, something that you especially appreciate over and over again. Mine would probably be, um, I really appreciate a woman that likes to do things for me. So if she likes to do laundry or cooking or those things, and someone would be like, "Oh my god," one of my friends like, "You just like the 1950s." No, it's just something I appreciate, and if a woman appreciates to do it, it's something that comes up over and over for me. So if a woman's like that and she likes to tidy up and she likes to do that things, it's not something I demand. It's something I'm attracted to. That's a difference. And there's plenty of women out there that they like doing that kind of stuff, and they're always uh, helpful, as simple as it's put. Hey, let me help you with that. Let me do this. Let me do that. Oh, you need a ride from the airport. Oh, you need this or you need that. Like they're never. It's never. Oh, I can't do that or this. I really appreciate that, and that's probably because my mom's a similar way. Probably is. Um, and generally, and I would call that accommodating in a lot of ways. What happened once you realized your partner did something unattractive? Did you start noticing it more and more? I've had this happen to me before where something I didn't notice for a long time, and then later on, I'm just like, what the fuck? You gonna wear those shoes again? Or you gonna wear this again? And then you start filtering for it over and over again. And then you start to think, like, how long has this been going on? What can't you accept your partner doing which directly kills attraction? Probably not brushing their teeth, which hasn't happened to me often. Have you ever woke up in the morning and you're messing around or you're getting close and you're like, you got to go brush your teeth? You both do. Some people are like, wow, but that would kill attraction for sure. Let's see where we're at with the comments. Scroll down. True James, okay, amen to that, Monica. Guilty as charged. Subscriber Napal venue. Always wanted to travel there. How do I overcoming the feeling of missing my ex complete? Sometimes I feel like I miss her. Sometimes I feel like I miss her, but I don't want this feeling. You are most welcome, Monica. First of all, don't fight it, don't resist it, and it's a natural thing that you're gonna miss your ex. There's no magic medicine you can take or anything like that. You got to keep busy. I've had some other videos about this. Change your habits, change your environment, because you don't want to fixate when you're able to fixate on missing your ex. There's usually a holding pattern in time. Now, when it's really really fresh, like the first 2 or 3 weeks or first month or month and a half, it's really difficult to do anything without that mouse wheel running. But the best thing you can do is get physical exercise, um, do things that are out of your comfort habits. That's what I highly suggest. So if you have a group of habits right now that you do regularly, change your habits, change your system, change your schedule, stay busy. I wish I had a couple of the videos where I had top 10 things to do, when you break up, because these people in live stream have heard me say 'em many times. Mahid Balauri, how you doing, Mahid? Then you get a new hobby that makes you happy. Well, that's true. Meet new people. That's helped a ton. Okay. Found out my ex cheated. That was the real reason. Anyhow, one of my friends has said that she has been talking shit about me. So who cares? If it's your ex and she's talking shit about you, you don't want to know. If your friend tells you that, you're like, I don't even want to know, because you're moving forward. You're a calm, cool, collective individual that's independent, and you're moving in a different direction. If they have a problem with you, they have a problem with themselves. I mean, where do you once you're broken up and someone's talking shit about you, right? What does that say about how they feel about you? Is it valid? Is it something that you think like, if they're talking shit about you and you're like, yeah, that is true, I did do something wrong. But if you didn't do anything wrong and they're talking a bunch of bullshit, then the best thing to do is no response, to be quite honest, because you're just going to come back at them and try to hurt them, and it's going to be a little game of hurt, hurt, hurt. What's that going to accomplish? I mean, you responding to that, it's not going to serve you moving forward, my head, right? All right. I think I had one more question to touch on that I didn't touch on myself. Thanks for everyone that's been here today. As usual, Videt, Mayo was in for a little bit, James, Insayon, Monica, Mayo. Thanks for contributing today, Clara. Any closing questions? I'm going to answer this one. How much of what you're attracted to is related to a prior good or bad experience with an ex, or even a good or bad experience in your personal life? Um, Do people do this because they are bitter? What, talk shit? Can be. Could be one reason. They could talk shit because you really did something wrong. They could have wrong information. It could be a variety of reasons. Um, why is it that the girls of present day are quite odd? I see that my grannies, my parents do have these sort of difficulties in the. I see that my grannies, my parents do have these sort of difficulties in their relationship since their rival social network and stuff. Things seem to be too messy. Well, that's a generalization. So be careful with that. All women are not the same. All cultures aren't the same. And I don't mean that like in a politically correct way. I just mean it that if you start looking at things like that, it's going to limit you moving forward. So why is it that girls in the present day are quite odd? I think all of them. It's too general a statement. Does social media affect things? Absolutely. Um, It can help and hurt. And if you don't like what social media is doing, where's your power? Stop being on social media. Erase your names. Start a new account. There's all different things you can do. Just because social media, you don't agree with it, you don't like it. Sometimes it's competitive happiness. And if you're not comfortable, take a break from it. That's your power. Instead of saying, "Oh, I hate social media," don't be a part of it. Then, if the idea that I saying someone's quite odd is a very general statement. So if you could be a little bit more specific on what you mean about that, I can maybe comment better. People say this a lot. Someone wasted their time. and their space. If you were with someone, you had some good moments and some bad moments, hopefully, so it wasn't all wasted time. I find it a little bit traumatic when people say someone just wasted their time, and it's limiting to you moving forward. So even if it was a bad experience, it should be growth. It should be something you learn from. It should be something you learn that you don't want again. They don't have these problems, so that's where I read wrong. Well, I mean, each generation is different. Each one had their own problems. I've talked about it before that grandparents, especially, are going to be in longer term relationships because I made a whole video about this because they just had access to less information, probably less partners. If they grew up in a small town, that makes a difference. So they had less options. And most people, not everyone, are more connected to a religion that has rules to follow. And grandparents tend to follow those rules more rigorously. And then your parents probably type followed them a little less. And now the next generation, well, there's less rules to be followed because there's so much more information that you're exposed to that a lot of times people don't have something that they want to follow 100%, right? So it's absolutely true what you're saying, but you're not going to change that. Doesn't mean women are odd. It means you need to adapt and change where you're meeting women. And if someone doesn't, not everyone's attached to social media, but I understand what you're saying. The generational gaps and the differences in relationships is absolutely true. Yeah, that's your power, dude. So if you're, I'm not very active on Facebook or any of those things, and I have to do an account pretty soon, probably for this channel to get in touch with more of the people on this live stream and whatnot. But um, if you're out of a breakup, a lot of problems that people are dealing with have to do with social media. Take a break, take a month off, take 2 months off, see how it goes for you. My bad experience have taught me about my core needs. I'm super affectionate and need that. Reassurance is a big one too. I have a core wound from childhood. Well, there you go. There you go. That's what your subconscious is coming back to over and over again. You really need to work on that probably. And you don't need to share that on the live stream, obviously, what that is, but get professional help. But the idea that that something's there is half the battle. But I'm super affectionate and need that. There's some guys that appreciate it, and some guys that will find it clingy and annoying. Doesn't mean all of them are like that. For me, I'm not very affectionate in that way, and it would be for me um, annoying at times. Doesn't mean, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong in liking that because there's plenty of men that love that. I have friends that they can't get their hands off each other when they're together on the couch. So that can be appreciated in a relationship. Hooper 502, Philly's finest, boys to men, BBD. My dad and mom were stalking my ex on Facebook, and my dad accidentally liked one of his posted. Should I apologize? Why would you? If your dad likes something, what's negative about that? If your dad likes something, there's nothing. Sorry, my ex's new boyfriend. My dad accidentally liked one of his posts. I mean, there's nothing negative in that. Who cares? It's not that big, and leave it alone. Like Monica says. And when your mom and dad talk about that, just go. I don't want any information about what's going on with them or especially if there's a new boyfriend involved. You don't want any information about that. True, your words are wise. Well, thanks, Venue. I try. AET. All right. Long time no see. Happy Memorial Day since you're still in the yay area. Yep, I'm still here. I'm gonna go back to Phuket at the end of the week. So the time change will be different. I'm making a commitment when I get back to have a live stream at the same time every day for the whole month of June, and I'll do my best to announce that. But hope you're doing well, AET. Hope the dog's doing well, as you're the sole uh, caregiver of that dog currently. My ex has been nagging about me to my friends at his gym. You think he's got baggage? Let's put it this way: everyone's got some baggage, myself included. But to nagging about you, let me guess, it's about the dog, and you not letting him see the dog because that makes him look good. Like a lot of times, if they're gonna nag, they're gonna somehow make themselves look good in the process. But I mean, what he's been telling people I have a new boyfriend. So what? That's your prerogative. If you want to have one or you don't, who cares? Like, what does that accomplish? I don't even know if that's negative. So, but going out of your way, I know in my situations, I don't know if I've been close friends with ex's friends, but I've never gone out of my way to talk shit about my exes to their friends. And really, I mean, if you have a negative experience or negative outlook on what happened with someone you were with for a long time, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were together like 7 or 8 years, AET, you were together a long time. That's a reflection on your character. Because at the end of the day, if you were together that long, you shouldn't be shoveling shade their way at a gym to their friends. I just feel that I'll never do better than my ex, and I can't date others because I'm always comparing them. What's up, Nike One? Happy Memorial Day. I figured you'd be out with the family. You got a huge family, dude. And you live out in Diego with the good weather. Um, don't ever fucking make that statement, Hooper. Don't ever make that fucking statement on the live stream, dude. I don't usually get direct, but I've had a few people say that to me before. But don't ever come with that. I'll never do better than my ex. That's fucking bullshit, dude. That's only true if you believe it to be true. And I'll tell you what, if you attracted her the first time and you attracted an individual of her quality the first time, there's someone equal or better out there in the 3, 4 billion women in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever use that kind of shit. Don't come back with that again, Hooper. I'm not gonna allow that. I'll never do better than my ex. Don't ever say that. That's bullshit. That's one of those ones that bothers me. I've had a few people like there was a guy I was talking to for couple times a month for a few months. He was really going through. It was his first love and everything like that. His early 20s, and he said that statement. I said, "Wait, hold the fuck on, hold on." That's the kind of shit that's unacceptable. I'll never do better than my ex. Fuck that. Fuck that. It's not about doing better. It's about getting better. It's about doing better. It's about being better. It's about going on a fucking offense and don't fucking feel sorry for yourself, man. Don't use that kind of language, especially if you're using the name Hooper. You know what I'm saying? No, no, no. No way. Not a dude from Philly. You ain't talking like that, dude. Come on. No way, man. You gotta reframe that. Read that statement again and say to yourself, "I'm doing better. I'm doing better right now." I know it sounds cheesy to yourself. You got to reframe that kind of language, and that comes in your head, and you're shooting hoops, and you're hanging out, and you're like, "Oh, I'll never do better than my ex." You got to go. You know what? You got to be like, there's like one dude on your shoulder right here that's like, "Yeah, you'll never do better." And this other dude's like, "Shut the fuck up." That's bullshit. Because that kind of statement is going to limit you for a long time, and you'll end up getting someone that you're not happy with because you're settling and you're just trying to fill a void. But if you get back on deck, you start going to the gym like you said you were, you start, healing your wounds and everything like that, you'll get someone equal or better, no problem. Because if you attracted someone of that level, of that quality once, you can fucking do it again. About to drop the mic. It takes time to find a good fit. Hang in there. Yeah, it doesn't just take time. It's one of those things. It's not going to happen when you want it to happen. It's going to happen when you're at your best. It's not by coincidence that when you attract someone that it comes in droves. It's like, have you guys ever noticed that when you were first got with your current ex, because a lot of you are in breakups, like you had 3 or 4 other options at the time. Maybe you weren't sleeping with someone else, but you were seeing other people. You were really in a good place. Most of you were really in a good place, probably body wise, probably feeling wise. It wasn't like that was your only option because you were in a fucking good place and other people saw it. Cooper 5, you tell yourself that you're training your subconscious to believe it. Bring the hammer, coach. I know, Ozzy. You told me I'm too soft sometimes. Feels like you can't do better, but it's just how you feel right now. And I wouldn't be like that with Hooper if he wasn't regularly on the live stream. If he was someone brand new, maybe I wouldn't be like that. But this is some dude now. We got this, little connection. No, no, no. None of that talk, dude. Give it time, brother. You will do better. Like I said, it's not just about doing better, it's about finding a better match. The idea of doing better or finding someone equal to that level. But a lot of times you end up doing better for you, right? It's just like when someone makes the soulmate statement. I just fucking cringe. Well, we were soulmates. It's like, wow, you only had one individual that whoever is the maker out there made for you and you were supposed to stay together forever. Yeah, Snow White's true too. You know what I mean? Fuck. The Easter Bunny's true too. It's like, come on, guys. I mean, really? You think is there an individual out there that you know that you're highly connected with? Absolutely. Are there more than one? Absolutely. Any other questions? Anyone else wanna vibe in on this? The original topic for today was actually things you weren't attracted about your ex, things that were turnoffs. That's what we started the show with. So if you scroll up, all my questions are up there. If anyone, how have you lost attraction in your partner? What was your partner's most unattractive trait or turn off? What personality traits did you hate? Maybe stubborn, something like that. If you guys have to add anything to that, that who just came on deck, go ahead, throw it in there. It's crazy to know she was telling me all these great things, how much she loved me. Then within weeks, she was telling someone else the same thing. It is crazy, but it fucking happens, dude. It fucking happens, and it didn't just happen to you, it's happened to other individuals, man. My ex has never been single, and that is a flag? I don't know, dude. It's like this, Hooper, that ex that just reached out to me, I used to feel the same way and would say the same thing. Now I'm in a spot where I don't even see her in that fashion. Women's feelings change like the clouds in the sky. They can, so can men's, actually. Has to do with timing and circumstances, Hooper. Think about this. Let's just do this real quick, Hooper. And the only reason I'm getting harsh with you is because I like you. And you've been on the show a few times, but this kind of stuff, dude, extremely limited. Extremely limited. I don't want you to ever, if that statement comes up again where you say, I feel like I can't do better, you better slam that fucking down to the ground, dude. That's a bad statement to make. That's, don't do that. Don't do that. It's just that's one of those statements when someone says, I'm like, what? Like I said, I've told people before. I remember I was broken up, and a friend of mine said to me, "Well, you got to lower your standards." And I was like, "What the fuck? What'd you say to me? Like what? I think you need to lower your standards, dude. To get like what?" I could add two choices that moment. Yeah, maybe I should lower my standards. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe the reason me and my ex broke up is because she's better than me. Fuck that. Fuck that. I went on offense, dude. No, you weren't, Hooper. You're not. There's no dumb about it. I'm just telling you. I've been there. I know what you're talking about. But like using the words and the sentences you use about yourself, they count, dude. So reframe that shit. Stuff like that. No, I'm not accepting it. Not on my watch, dude. I don't like statements like that. That'll limit you every day of the week. And you got to say like, no, no, no. That's the one I'm not going to accept. You know. Takes time, dude. And your situation was a tough one. I get it because you talk about the same situation again. It's rewinding. You got a mouse wheel, Hooper. And I've been there. I've had the mouse wheel. It's going to take you a little bit of time. But you know what? Being a part of this live stream, doing your thing, you're going to get better, dude. It's going to take time, man. It's going to take time, man. Seriously. Coach, I always have people tell me to lower my standards. I said, the hell with that. I know what I bring to the table. Fuck that, dude. What's their standards? I think looking back, my friend that said it to me, he just meant it out of like you look back, he meant it out of care. He meant it out of I'd like to see you hooking up with more chicks because you're single now and I'm not. But the way I took it was like, what? because I always knew my ex was a catch, right? And I always knew my and the funny thing about that is my buddy liked her. I could tell. You know when your buddy likes your girl, and it doesn't mean they're gonna do anything, right? It's like you got a good looking girlfriend. It's got a lot of things going for her. It's like everyone knows, but no one, like there's a couple dudes that you can tell when she walks in, they're double taken, and I'm okay, highly secure. I'm fine. I know nothing's gonna happen. But I knew when that happened, he was kind of like, yeah, yeah, she was bad, like she's a good looking woman, like because he looked at it like he couldn't get her. Uh, hey Mac, what do you think about fighting for your happiness? My ex always preached that I don't agree with that, and it would turn me off. I don't believe forcing to be happy. I don't know if you, I've heard of people saying fighting for the relationship, but fighting for your happiness. You mean fighting for your happiness in regard to the relationship? Because fighting for the relationship is always a statement I don't really like because I don't associate having to, you know, relationships should flow in a certain direction. And when you have problems and the current stopped, you deal with it. But this idea that you have to fight, no, fighting for happiness in general. So you had depression or you were sad when he was saying this to you? Hooper, by the way, you're gonna be just fine, my friend. Fuck that. I'm sorry. I believe in feeling your feelings out and processing it and not forcing anything. Well, believe it, no fighting for happiness in general. It depends on the situation. That's like it's such a fucking general topic, right? Just happiness is so general. Um, someone saying like, "How do I become happy?" You want my formula of being happy? Good camaraderie, something you're working towards that you're really proud of, being proud of yourself, having good relationship with your friends and family, and that shit doesn't always go right, dude. Camaraderie's big, whether that's with friends or family or work partners. That's big in happiness. Having a good dog. Happiness is fleeting. It's in and out. And the only ways you really know when you're truly happy is actually knowing the other side of it and being sad sometimes. Right? How are you gonna know what it's to be cold when you've never been hot? John Mayer concert? Good for you, dude. Right on, Hooper. Good for you. And he threw me the Y. Good for you, man. Hey, man, it's small victories. If it doesn't go good, you went and saw a concert from someone you like. Maybe you'll meet someone else there. Get out and get active. Don't put a lot of high expectations on it. Just go out and have fun, have a good connection. If it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well. Who the fuck cares? No sweat off your balls. Because otherwise, what would you be doing? Go into it just to have a good time, man. Be yourself. Sorry, I'm reading this. Someone else told me last night. They're like, you need glasses." No, I just have small eyes. People always think I'm Asian. You can't force anything. The more one partner fights for the other will resist. Well, I think this would apply. Breakups, since a lot of people do rebound and don't take time to grieve, they use people to be happy. Yeah, that's true. Like fighting for happiness, though. So, like, what he's basically telling me, though, is that he feels like you're not a happy person. You're not happy with life overall, which is a very general statement because, like, we were talking about in the live stream yesterday about having different buckets spiritually, financially, because you can be unhappy with one part of your life and be really happy with your family, but not be happy with your finances. What happens is everyone lets it bleed in together and they start to create problems in other areas of their life because they have one problem in one area and they're really pissed off about that, if that makes sense. I mean, financially, if you're really down and out and you got to go to the streets, it's going to affect everything, right? But fighting, saying that you had to fight for happiness, he's basically saying that you don't seem like a happy individual in general. And that would be a statement or a situation to unpack and be like, do you think that's true? Do you think that was a fair assessment? Do you think you were sad a lot? Because I'm assuming that he's just saying you're just not happy overall. I don't say this to offend anyone, but it's something I'm always running in my head. Okay, bitches don't like me. Something wrong with a bitch. Is that a rap song or something? Nike one? I think the politically correct way would be if you have a problem with me, you got a problem with yourself. I think that's what you'd say. But all right. Say what you think. Say what you please. It's open mic. Thanks for the likes, folks. Cheers. Coming up on an hour and a half. This is a good session today. Glad to see you, AET. Thanks for joining. Haven't heard from you for a while. For a while. Mm. Anyone else with some blaring questions? What's up, Alejandro? Old Mexico? Oh no, he just made a Facebook post. I scoffed. He always thinks he's right, but whatever. You mean literally just now made a Facebook? Cheers, thanks for the like. Just made a Facebook post just now. Well, my mom, which I think is crazy, thinks I should reach out to try and become friends with her. Fuck no, not in your situation. She's with someone already, Hooper. Don't even entertain that. And it's not that your mom is crazy. It's that your mom cares about you and she doesn't know what to do and she thinks that would help you, but it won't. It'll mislead you. Nah, not now, last year, but thanks for your perspective. I say there's a lot of failed relationships because people never take the time to heal from the first one, demanding people looking around for someone who they think is better than them to come rescue. Probably true. Then be a part of your own rescue. Sometimes people are just doing the best they can with their life experience and their current knowledge, really. Ignorance is bliss. Sometimes you don't know what you're doing until things go wrong. That's the absolute truth. That's from a 50 Cent song? You mean the original thing? I knew it was a hip hop song of some sort. I need to build my confidence back. Any suggestions besides going to the gym and getting out there? I know some people have said, I'm sick of hearing about going to the gym. Well, that tells me, have you been going to the gym? Is that something you're just pushing to the side? Have you been getting your exercise? Read, read, read. Reading helps. How to get my confidence back? That's a really good question. Get on them cold showers. Yeah, that's a big one right now. Um, Let me think about this for a minute. First, you need to unpack, and if you don't want to share that with people on the live stream, that's fine. But you probably want to unpack what's making you unconfident, what you're highly insecure about. So instead of thinking of how I can be more confident, think what's making me unconfident. What situations? Is that work? Is that my body? Is that, you know what I mean? So then you can pinpoint the triggers that make you really unconfident because there's something that comes up. We all have insecurities. Some have more than others, and some are more fragile than others. But instead of looking at how to be more confident, really look at why you're unconfident and what are the triggers. And then how could you fix those issues, which will take time. There's no direct cure. I think grieving and healing is the healthy way to deal with a breakup before getting into a new relationship. I think I live in the gym. They're going to start to charge rent. Good for you, Alejandro. However, I think I'm ready to get back out there for casual dating, even a bad date, like you said, Mac. That's not okay. I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just asking because sometimes when people push that one to the side, they really aren't going. And when I say going to the gym, I should reframe that for you because you don't need to go to the gym. You just need to get exercise. You can go for walks in the park. Yesterday, I just went for like a 2 or 3 mile walk in a nature area. That wasn't going to the gym, but I got my exercise in. Make sure you're getting your exercise every day and be around supportive new groups, maybe. But what I said, unpack what you're unconfident about first or your insecurities, what are real big triggers for you, and then work on those individual things. Think to yourself, if I was confident, who would I be? However, I think and another thing to do, Monica, is look back. When was the last time you felt really confident? Who were you? What were you doing? Good question to ask. When was the last time you were in a confident situation? We all have our own insecurities. It's just that some of us are better at hiding them. Some are better at hiding it. Some are better at dealing with it, right? Some are better at dealing with their insecurities. It's like you can make a joke about it. You can, make light of it. You can share what your insecurity actually is, right? So some people definitely deal with it better than others because I mean, look at some of the things people have to deal with. Like I was just at like a state fair yesterday where there's all these different kinds of people. Someone was walking with like crutches, someone's like in a wheelchair, and you think like, man, that's tough. Talk about you think you have insecurities and a tough way to deal with it. Some guy couldn't get on the grass because he had this. I don't. He was an older guy, so I don't know what his ailment was, but he couldn't walk. It's like that puts things in perspective sometimes. But we all have insecurities. It's you can hide them or you can deal with them. Yeah, walking is awesome. Get out there and put your headphones on. I would say walking is probably really underrated. You don't need to jog. You can jog or run, but and being out in nature, and obviously you got a dog, so you can go all the time. Okay, so there's a medical issue that affected my looks and working on it. Was in the hospital for weeks, just self-conscious, left left my leg disfigured. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Monica. They're not sure they can fix it. Like I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. But the good news is you're solution oriented by that you went to a doctor, you checked that out. Doesn't seem like that's an option at this point. Maybe get a second opinion. Do some research on some alternative things. There's something called, I don't know if this will work, but I've read about it before. Um, Rolfing. I've mentioned this before. I don't know if that would work for your leg, but check into it. Do your own research on it because I'm not an expert. Um, And what I would do is just go on a research mission on Google and say, disfigured leg, ways to fix it, and explore different things. Obviously, you probably have a budget like most people. So maybe there's certain things you can't do, but you can certainly, with the internet now, there might be some things that you're overlooking, right? And just the fact that you're looking for solutions might make you feel better. Or it might make you, being in those areas where you're looking to get these kinds of things fixed, you might meet someone with a similar problem like yours that could be relatable. I don't know. There might be forums for something like that. I'm not sure. I've come from some hard times. I've always been the one to laugh at my downfalls. Just remember, you're not having a bad life. You're having a bad day. That's a good way to put it. Chunk it down. Chunk it down. What time is it right now? 11:30. These have been some good sessions, guys. All right. We're at a little intermission period right here. Anyone want to add some questions, or does anyone? One plastics told me to wait a year. Okay, well there you go. Lost both his leg, diabetes, and I'm always telling him, as bad as you feel your situation is there is people who would kill to have things you have. Sure. Wow, both his legs at 35. That's tough, man. Jesus, Nike one. Hope everyone here will find their own peace and happiness. No one deserves to be stuck in sadness and depression. Absolutely. That's why I do these live streams, my friend. Not just for that sole purpose, but I'm finding this. I think this is helping a lot of people, and you guys are helping each other out. So this is fucking outstanding. Um, and what I'd add to that, Hooper and Monica, um, is get out there and be a part of a charity or do something that's not just for you. A lot of times when we're upset with ourselves or we're down or we're sad, we're a little bit obsessed with us as an individual. And going out and serving and doing something nice or being a part of a team, doing some kind of charity work, that might be your best remedy sometimes when you're feeling really down and out. or a John Mayer concert, as Hooper 502 is going to. John, I'm trying to think of what's that song he used to sing? Because does he have any new music? I'm not in the times with all the new music and stuff, so you probably know more than I do, Hooper. But what's the song that girls will grow up like their fathers? Is that the John Mayer song? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I got it in my head, but I don't know the name of the song. Find someone that values you. Daughters, yeah. That song was big like 10, 12 years ago. Was the other one like Banana Pancakes or something? I don't know. He had a lot of radio songs. um, Hooper, you're gonna be just fine. You're gonna be just fine, my friend. Always observe others around you in their situation. We all have problems. It's just our problems aren't theirs, and theirs aren't ours. Oh, that's Jack Johnson. Okay, I knew it was someone different. Yeah, those songs used to get played when I lived in San Diego. That stuff was big. The heat is miserable. Can't get out of the heat. Get out in the heat long. Just feel different and self-conscious at the moment. Well, always come back to where's your power right now? What can you do? Cool. You're gonna be okay too, Monica. If that's, it's gonna get better. Sometimes something like that, you might get surprised in a year. And I'm not comparing my situation to yours, Monica, but like I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I had an accident on a motorbike, and I fell on my face, and all the side of my face was all um, like scraped really bad. Had to go to the hospital. All this thing. I won't get into the details of it, but this was years back. And I mean, I remember this guy he used to play internet poker. He was a neighbor of mine, and he made a lot of money on internet poker. And he's like, "Oh man," he's like talking to me, and he was in this car, and he's like, "Oh man, I just lost like 20 grand to like 20,000 US." I'm like, "Wow." And I turned my head, and he saw my whole side of my face. He's like, "What the fuck happened to you, bro?" And I'm like, he's from New Zealand. I'm like, I just got in a motorbike accident yesterday. Da, da, da. And I, this and this. He's like, gee, he's like, fuck, I thought I had a bad day. Are you okay? I had like a lump all over here. Thought I was going to need surgery. Ended up getting a couple different, what do they call that? Second opinions, had to get x-rays. I mean, it was bad. I mean, my face was, the doctor I was teaching at the time, he was like, look, I'm going to give you 2 weeks off. I'm like, no, I can go back to class this week. I can definitely teach. And, just give me a day off. He goes, no, the students aren't going to like to see you like this because you look so bad. And my friend who was there with me at the next day was like, yeah, mate. He's like, your face is never going to change. It's always going to be scarred up. You're always going to look like that. And I was like, are you a fucking doctor? And he goes, no, mate. No, mate. You can just tell. And you know what? It's been okay, dude. It's been okay. So it might surprise you, Monica. My situation is definitely different than yours, and it's 100 times different than yours, Nike One. But I'm just saying that sometimes it can get better, and that healing on your leg, or that maybe that doctor that could maybe do something, or there might be another option out there. It can happen. Mac, how you end up in Thailand? I can't seem to even get out of Philly yet, alone the country. Well, work on getting out of Philly first, I guess. I mean, is there a place you want to visit? I always recommend people when they're that would I mean, if you're a single right now, Hooper, and you're able to, I don't know your financial situation, save up a little money or go somewhere else. Thailand's a great place, great vacation, can change your life. Or move to a different city. All those things really help you move on from a breakup. Because getting out of this, what happens is, I've mentioned this before. Sorry to be a broken record, but you get in these same habits, and then you go to these same places, and it just keeps triggering thoughts of your ex. When you go somewhere brand new, your mind can't help but think like, what's this place? Oh, that's cool. Oh, that looks unsafe. Your mind starts filtering for, where am I right now? It starts recalibrating what's going on, and it takes away that mouse wheel for a moment. Well, there you go. AAT wants to go to Philly. Motown Philly. Only been there once. Fifth grade, we went to Washington D.C. and I think we went to Philadelphia. I'm 27, making 85 a year. I'm trying to break free of everything. 85's not bad. I don't know what the climate is in Philly. I don't know. To me, that seems like pretty damn good money. What's holding you back? If you're trying to break free, what's holding you back? You don't have to share this if you don't want to share your financials and shit on live stream. You can send me an email or something. But this is something we can unpack. See, I've helped people with this beyond just breakups where they're like, well, I can't do this. And then I'll break something down. They're like, oh shit, didn't look at it that way. Because sometimes you have this brick wall up that's like, I can't have good. I can't move. This and this would happen. Really? Read The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss from 10 years ago. Doesn't have that book, The 4 Hour Work Week, actually doesn't have a whole lot to do with the 4 hour work week. It has more to do with going like, fuck this, make a move. And actually it's triggered by him being in a breakup. But 85 is good money. If you're single and you're 27, dude, I mean, you haven't mentioned that you had kids with this you're at the peak, bro. You're at the peak right now. At least do some traveling. One question, Hooper, do you like your job? You don't have to tell me what you do. Do you like your job? I'm not getting I'm trying to get my power back. I go to the gym despite having some mobility, skin issues, and like I work on highlighting my other features. I'm getting out there trying. Good for you. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna take some time. I was in Washington D.C. last September, and that place is awesome. I don't know DC for nothing. I was there in fifth grade for um, like I said, when you go there to see the Capitol and all that. I even considered joining the Coast Guard just for experience. That would be cool. Fuck, man. You wrote you hate your job. Well, then you know what? If you're 27 years old and you hate your job, then get out of it, dude. Pivot. You're 27 years old. You don't have kids or anything. You make 85 a year. You surely can save a little bit of money. Don't get caught in that thing where like I can't quit. Do something else, man. Coast Guard would be cool. Start researching things that seem really distant, but like line up with what you want to do, and then think about, wait a minute, how do I make this possible? Thanks for the like, whoever that was. You know, that's right, coach. I moved from LA to Boston, and that's what made the biggest difference. I miss Los Angeles. I will go back in 2 or 3 months. Dude, moving helps if you can. I mean, people think it's drastic. Um, if I was going to give you, it depends on the relationship, but if it was like a long term relationship, you know, 3 years plus, 2 years plus, and you're having a lot of trouble, I would say that moving to a new city for the right reasons, not just moving from your ex, but move for a new job, or move because you want to live by the beach, or move because you want to live in the mountains and snowboard, whatever, something that's exciting, fucking do it. ATC heading in at 5,000, requesting clearance for landing. What's up, Headworks? Been a while. The musician heading in at 5,000 feet. Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, the moving thing's huge, man. If you're able, and if you want to talk about that in a live coaching, or unpack that far, like get fucking excited about that, Hooper. You're 27 years old, dude, and you make that kind of money. Why would your ex follow you where you move? Yeah, I would like to move. I try to avoid places my ex would go to. I mean, you live in San Diego, which is a pretty nice place. Thanks for the like. Um, I saw that. I saw him at the grocery store, and I went the other way. If you're uncomfortable seeing him, then go the other way. What if you just moved to a different area of San Diego? That's another thing. Like, you don't necessarily have to move out of your city. Maybe you move to another part. But what I would go to, if you're going to move, unpack where you want to work and what kind of job you want to do. Then unpack where you'd like to live, what kind of weather, what kind of climate. Like Philly, go to San Diego, dude. That's a nice place. And you got people out there. You got AET and Nike One. Yeah, like I remember when I was fresh off my breakup, I didn't wanna run into my ex, even running into mutual friends. I don't wanna. I remember a couple friends did. I lost attraction, it seems. We broke up in good terms, but she began dating someone new 3 days after the breakup, most likely lined him up. Well, you don't know that, you're just assuming it, but if you guys broke up, she had every right 3 days later to go into a new relationship, and move your mind first, then move physically. I've been eyeing up a Jeep Gladiator too, those things are fire. Uh, this goes back to my materialistic thing, right? And this isn't I like Jeeps too, but if I were you, I wouldn't put it all into a car, dude. I would seriously go for life experience. I'd move somewhere cool. Because the thing is, at 27, whatever field you're in now, you could probably re-enter it or come back in a year. So like, it's not as where and you don't have kids and stuff. Start looking at places you really want to go. You can come back and get a Jeep later on, but if you get that big ass Jeep Gladiator or whatever that is, I don't even know what model that is. Um, you're gonna handcuff yourself, and you're really not gonna be able to go somewhere because you're gonna have a big car payment probably. Just write out like top 5 places you'd like to go, top 5 places you'd like to work. If you could have top 3 jobs, start writing this shit out. I've done this with people before, and they're like, "Oh shit, you know what? I got an interview set up next week." Cars come, guitars come above cars for me. Everyone's got their values, Headwork. But traveling helps so much to get out there and get your mind off your ex while gaining new experience. Give it a try. Absolutely, absolutely. And the American style is to go somewhere for like 4 or 5 days. Go somewhere for a month if you can. 3 weeks. What's always fueled me after a breakup, what I love doing is disappearing, falling off the face of the earth, and coming back as someone completely different mindset, physically, mentally, channel my alter ego. You mean you have an alter ego when you come back? I think everyone has actually a couple alter egos. They don't always display them. I mean, do you ever think about how much society, or maybe just American society, looks up to actors and actresses, and they're basically playing alter egos? It's like I've mentioned this before, like someone like Denzel Washington. Someone's like, "Oh, I love Denzel Washington." You don't fucking know Denzel Washington. You've seen him in a couple movies. You think he really is the guy that he is in these movies? He's an actor. He's literally a walking alter ego. I mean, but when you do move somewhere new, you can easily reinvent yourself based on the area you live in and what people don't. Because a lot of times people conform to what their friends and family think they are. They almost are trapped. Yeah, I did a video about YouTubers and their egos last night. Cats won the battle. Cats don't give a damn about anything. Okay. No, while I'm in that state of changing, I'm channeling it. Okay. Greece, working on a trip next year. Need ideas for a quick trip. A few days, but cheap. Any ideas? Not Mexico. That's where everyone goes in California. A cheap trip? Where do you live, Monica? If it's going to be cheap, unless you don't want to share that. Um, I don't understand. Cats won the battle. Cats don't give a damn about anything. Headwork. Elaborate on that. Everyone goes to Hawaii too, and I'm always thinking it's expensive. Canada's nice. Vancouver's really nice. I don't know how close that is to where you are. Victoria, Vancouver is beautiful. People are really nice. I don't. You can get a little bit of money on your exchange rate. Victoria, Vancouver is beautiful. Reading a book called The Alter Ego cracks me up because I've always done the nice to see it put into words after a long term ex split. Lost 90 pounds. You lost 90 pounds. Damn, dude, that's a lot. Cellular to Mexico is nice though. They got affordable, beautiful places to rent. I've had a couple friends go to Colombia and do Airbnbs and said it was really nice, and they said it was cheap. I did a video years ago about Jesse Pinkman, the character, but Aaron Paul is just an actor. Cats win because They're the most popular thing on YouTube. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I want to do a ayahuasca retreat. Seems like people who have done that swears it was helpful. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Joe Rogan's big on that, right, Hooper? Um, there's another thing called iboga. They have a Costa Rica thing for that iboga that looks really interesting. Maybe you want to research that one if you want to compare ayahuasca to iboga. That I haven't done either, but that sounds interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting, Hooper. Then now you see, now you're getting there. Now you're getting a little excited. Now you're stirring the juices, Hooper. Haven't been there. I think Mayo is from Montreal. I could be wrong. Maybe you want to ask him next time he's on deck. I don't know a whole lot about Montreal. I heard it's nice. Canada's cool though. Like I said, the exchange rate's pretty good because you get a little bit more money back. Um, Montreal's supposed to have a jazz scene and something else. I forgot which movie that was. There's one movie with Robert De Niro where they do a bust. Him and Edward Norton are in it. Speak Spanish. Colombia might not be bad. I've look it up on Airbnb. I've heard good things. When me and my ex sat down recently, she was like, "Wow, you're different. The way you look, the way you talk, your demeanor, the way you look, a new man." They are starting to use LSD to cure depression. Still researching it. I really think once you find yourself mentally, you are almost invincible. Invincible is a strong word. I know that they're starting to use LSD. Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan are big on this. They have some different videos and interviews that are quite good. I think they're using it for addiction a lot, right? Which should work in a breakup because it's really partially addiction. She actually texted me again last night and maybe wants to meet up again. Well, player's gonna play. Do what you got to do. I wouldn't just shove it to the side. I would entertain it. Why not? Got the best place to be in Nike One is nothing to lose, no expectations. Even if you go out and you're like, I have no intentions of hooking up, but that night you didn't really have anything to do, why not have drinks again? And the compliment she gave you, that felt good. The fact that she's calling you, that's a plate to spin. Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong there. I think we did pretty good today, folks. Nice one, Nike. You have the flame, bro. It is a nice one. The Score, that's the name of the movie. I knew someone would come up with that. You know what I'm talking about? That's the Monica, look up the movie The Score with Robert De Niro. He makes Montreal look fucking cool. Marlon Brando's in it too. He's got a jazz club in Montreal. I just think of the Expos. Um, but never been there. Could be cool. Keep working towards being a better you. Don't stop no matter no one wants to stand in front of anything that is relentless. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. In fact, do you advise to ever reach out again? For your particular situation, hell no. Cheers, Monica. I'm going to run soon too. At work. Thanks, bro. You're welcome, Monica. Hang in there. You're doing just fine. Um, in your particular case, no, Hooper. I'll tell you what I do recommend for you, Hooper, is to do that trip. And I'm not going to say ayahuasca because I don't know what that leads to, but go to Peru and do that Manchu Picchu or whatever that is. Do that. You too, AET. Thanks for showing up in the Bay. Um, I mean, it's not a great movie, Monica. It's just in Montreal, so but you could probably look it up on YouTube. But I wouldn't reach out again. No. Short answer, Hooper. No. Especially in the state you're in right now. When you made that comment earlier, that's not a place you want to be in because that'll slam you to ground zero if it goes negative. And like I said, I would definitely get on deck and just start researching places you want to visit and get excited about moving somewhere or just going on a long vacation. You make good money. You seem like you're in a good place. Fucking open things up, dude. Yeah, I forgot Nike one that you've been out there. It's a nice place, dude. It's a nice place. I got a good hit from Rust from the True Detective yesterday. The show, The True Detective. There's a video about pessimism on YouTube about what he says in the show, and it's brilliant. Is that the one with Matthew McConaughey, True Detective? Because that was an outstanding fucking show. That was outstanding acting and writing. Yeah, that was good, dude. I don't know the exact, but that talk about an Academy Award type acting. Jesus, I mean, he stole the show. McConaughey, and he had the can of beer, and he's man, that's like a top 10 piece of acting in anything I've ever seen. I know it sounds dramatic, but that was good. True Detective was on point. All right, I think it's about that time. Any closing? Type Rust. It blew my mind. All right, I'll check it out. Rust pessis. I always have trouble with that word. Pessimism. Uber 502. Give it time, bro. If you left the relationship in a respectful manner, no drama. She'll reach out. An ex will hit me up, and that ex hit me up. I played everything wrong there, and she came back. Thanks, coach. Love listening to and read other stories on a beautiful day. Hiking for the 2 hours. Fuck yeah, Alejandro. Good for you, dude. Thanks, bro. Hooper, next time you talk, tell me about your top three locations you're thinking about moving to or visiting for longer than 2 weeks. That's your homework. Because right now, at 27 years old, you're single, you got no attachments. Hey, man, your life's better than you think. And you're making 85 a year? That's solid. Closing, yeah. Life is about learning not to destroy life. Anti fragile. Closing. Thanks for coming on deck, everyone, today. We're gonna give about 5 more minutes here, 4 more minutes to close it out at 2 hours strong. It's been a good one. It's Memorial Day. Happy for everyone. Just got out of another situation and handled the breakup way better than the last. She'll hit me up again at some point. How I see it. Lover of makeup. Hello, it's nice to see you today. Hello, lover of makeup. Nice to see you too. Thanks for the like, folks. Any closing questions? I got 6 minutes left here. Dun 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 dun. What do you guys? We're talking about movies here. Headwork. What do you think's the all-time best theme song from '80s movies? Random. Nike one's got to have one. Theme songs. I'd go. Life in Black, Crazy Hands Down. I'd go. Rock. I'd go this one. Those are the two best theme backgrounds to movies. I don't know why I was thinking that because we just talked about movies recently, and I had a theme in my head. But whenever you hear the Rocky beat or the Beverly Hills Cop beat, don't you just go, I can't do the Beverly Hills Cop beat, but you know what I'm talking about? Ding, 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 ding. No, I can't get it. But whenever you hear that, it's just like, oh shit, back in the movie. I'm getting way off topic today. Just had a movie on my mind. Grease, hopelessly devoted to you. Oh, Grease. Oh, the movie Grease. Oh shit, I didn't know what you meant. My mom loves Grease. We had that on VHS. Coach, everyone here, peace and much love to you all. Happy Memorial Day. Y'all be up. All right. You too, buddy. Cheers. I think we're gonna close it out here, folks. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Have a good day today. Thanks for coming on deck at work. You're always a kick. Anything from Lionel Richie into Pantera. Lionel Richie, hello. That's a great song. Have you? What was that? What was that video? Now I'm getting way off topic. Remember the Lionel Richie video where the girl's blind? Is that Hello? I think it is Hello. What a dramatic video. And she does a sculpture of him in sculpture class, and he's a professor. I'm closing it out soon, folks. Thanks for joining. Thank you so kindly. Any closing questions here? No? Lover of makeup, thanks for the late entry here. You're welcome anytime. Alejandro, thank you. Headwork, thank you. AT, Hooper, let me know about those places you want to go to. Top Gun. Yeah, you're right. Top Gun, I had that on cassette. You mentioned Top Gun, I think, before. Top Gun's fucking outstanding, dude. That's still a good movie. Um, the song that they sing when they sing the song, Pete Mitchell and the other guy, that was a great song. But the opening song when they're on the runway and stuff, yeah, it's a great sound. The whole soundtrack's good for that. All right, we'll have to do the movies thing another time. It's just kind of funny. Heartbreak lasts for as long as you choose to absorb it. Yep, that's true. Well, I don't know. I wish it was as easy as a choice. I'm not sure if it's a choice. That's well, next session we'll talk about that statement at work. We'll unpack that next time I do a live session, which will probably be tomorrow. Miami Vice. I wasn't a big Miami Vice guy as a kid, but I know that's a huge show with a huge theme song. All right, we're at 2 hours, folks. Thank you kindly for joining. Happy Memorial Day out there for the Americans on deck. Head work. Have a good one. Everyone else, have a good one. Thanks for joining.